Millionaire's incredible encounter, 3 abandoned triplets exposed his heartwarming transformation. Mark Donovan stood in his grand mansion, staring out at the lights of his picturesque small town twinkling like stars scattered across a velvet sky. The echoes of laughter floated through the lavish rooms, yet loneliness clawed at him, a bitter reminder of how hollow his extravagant life had become. His latest charity gala had morphed into yet another social climbing event, filled with fake smiles and shallow conversations. As he leaned back on the polished bar, a sudden burst of laughter broke through the crowd, a joyous sound that didn't belong to the elite guests but instead came from outside. Curiosity tugged at him. He slipped outside to find 3 triplets rummaging through trash cans, eyes bright with hope despite their ragged clothing. Mia looked like a tiny whirlwind, with pigtails bouncing as she playfully tugged at her brothers, Jake and Lily. Their giggles pierced through the night air, awakening something long dormant within Mark's heart. It was as if his heart had been turned to stone, and suddenly, there was warmth again. That laughter echoed against the despair clinging to their rundown neighborhood, and Mark felt a tug at his soul. In that moment, the contrast was striking. Here he was, a self-made millionaire, living in luxury, while these children scoured for scraps. How could he have been so blind? Determined, Mark approached them, his mind racing with thoughts of how to help. He began bringing them clothes, food, and school supplies, little gifts that brought them smiles that lit up the darkest corners of their lives, but not everyone was pleased. Around the dinner table, whispers spread like wildfire among his elite friends. Is he trying to be a hero? One scoffed. They're just charity cases, another sneered. Mark felt their disdain like needles pricking at his skin. Their glitz-happy coexistence stood in stark contrast to the realities he was now confronting. Every dinner felt like a battlefield, and yet, the triplets were an anchor he couldn't let go of. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Mark's frustration bubbled over when his attempts to showcase their story online fell flat. The likes and comments he sought never materialized. He started questioning his motives. Was this charity, or was he just seeking a sense of validation? Just then, he learned about the triplets' tragic past, uprooted from foster homes and deprived of the love he took for granted. The weight of their struggle burrowed into him, igniting a fire that he couldn't ignore, but as Mark grew more invested, the community responded with a mix of skepticism and admiration. He faced roadblocks, isolation from peers and resistance from those who viewed him as an outsider. Each day, he battled the tension between returning to his gilded cage or stepping outside to embrace the family he never knew he needed. Just as he thought he was making headway, the glitz of his former life turned beckoning, an invitation to another gala, a reminder of all he once cherished. The question loomed, would he turn his back on the triplets or fight for their future? With the gala imminent, Mark's heart raced, uncertainties swirling like leaves in a storm. What path would he choose to follow? As the day of the gala approached, Mark found himself pacing the marble floors of his mansion. The ticking clock on the wall felt deafening, each second a reminder of the choice he was about to make. He glanced at his phone, where the invitation to the charity ball glimmered like a shining beacon of his past life. It promised glitz, glamour, and the approval he used to crave. But now, it felt like a trap, a gilded cage he no longer wished to inhabit. That evening, Mark found himself at the triplets' modest home, a stark contrast to his own opulence. He knocked softly, and Mia answered, her face lighting up as if she had seen a long-lost friend. "Mr. Mark." She squealed, tugging at his pant leg, and within moments, Jake and Lily were racing to join in the excitement. The warmth radiating from the small living room drew him in. It was cluttered but filled with a cozy essence. Photos hung on the walls, showing vivid smiles and moments of pure joy, a flash of real family life. Mark took a deep breath, soaking it all in, letting it cleanse the heaviness from his heart. For the first time in ages, he felt a sense of belonging. As they slumped onto the worn-out sofa, Mark shared stories about his day, while the triplets giggled, their laughter bubbling like a gentle stream. He realized that the empty feeling inside him was slowly being filled with authentic connection. When Mia handed him a drawing she had made a colorful stick figure family, it struck him like a lightning bolt. He wanted this. He wanted them, yet the shadow of the gala loomed over him. Mark's pulse quickened as he revealed the invitation to the triplets. Their faces fell, a stark contrast to the cheerful banter just moments before. "Are you leaving us?" Jake asked, his eagerness vanishing. The innocence in his eyes stung Mark's heart. Mark shook his head, struggling to find the right words. "No, I just have to attend a fundraiser. But I'll be back. I promise," he said, though the resolve in his voice seemed to crack. The evening continued with laughter, but in Mark's mind, a storm brewed. As the triplets played a game, he stole glances through the window at the darkening sky, thick with clouds that spiraled and churned much like his thoughts. In that moment, he could almost hear the whispers of his elite friends, taunting him, reminding him of the importance placed on status and success. As he left, guilt twisted in his gut. The triplets waved at him, innocent and loving, unaware of the turmoil inside him. He drove back home, the town lights blurring as he struggled to reconcile his past with his hoped-for future. Arriving at his mansion, he stood alone, staring at his reflection in the opulent mirrors. The person staring back felt more like a stranger than ever before. The extravagant life that once offered comfort now felt suffocating. Did he truly want to trade the chance at real joy with the triplets for the empty approval of superficial acquaintances? With the gala just hours away, Mark stood at a crossroads. One path led him to old friends, delicious food, and hollow applause. The other promised true and meaningful connections, yet came with uncertainty and the weight of sacrifice. He could almost hear the triplets' laughter echoing in his head. Suddenly, his phone buzzed with a text. It was from Mia. "Are you still coming to play?" Mark's heart raced as he stared at the screen. Would he finally embrace his new life or retreat into the safe confines of his wealth? The decision loomed large. What would he choose when it truly mattered? Mark's thumb hovered over the text for a moment, a mixture of fear and longing coursing through him. He felt the weight of the gala invitation pressing heavily in his pocket, a reminder of the life he was expected to uphold. Yet, it was the simplicity of Mia's message that tugged at something deeper. She needed him, and God, he needed them. He hesitated, then his fingers flew across the screen. "Yes. I'll be there shortly." The drive to their home felt shorter this time. He wasn't just returning to a place, he was heading toward a family that saw him for who he really was. As he parked, Mark's heart raced with anticipation. Stepping inside, he was greeted with the loud chaos of excited voices, laughter ringing off the walls like music. The triplets burst into view, a wild whirlwind of energy. "Mr. Mark! Mr. Mark!" they yelled, as they jostled each other in their eagerness to get to him. "Hey there!" He laughed, genuinely this time, feeling the tug of warmth pull him into the living room. They immediately dragged him into their game of charades, the three of them diving onto the floor, making silly gestures and laughing until they fell back, breathless. At that moment, Mark was no longer a millionaire battling with identity, he was just Mark, the guy who made the triplets smile. After a while, the chaos calmed. They sprawled on the floor, each of them catching their breath. Mark looked around the room, taking in the faded colors of the couch and the scattered toys, each piece a testament to a life lived in joy and simplicity. "I can't stay all night," Mark said, a trace of reality creeping back in. "I have that gala, remember?" But the way Mia's smile faded was like a knife cutting through him. Jake's eyes shifted to the ground, his little fingers tracing the carpet. "Will you be gone for a long time?" Mark felt a lump in his throat. "Not long," he promised again, though this time it felt less like a reassurance and more like a lie. "Let's play one more round," Lily suggested, her eyes gleaming with unbridled hope. In that moment, Mark made a choice. He realized that for the first time, he wanted to elevate these moments over the hollow rituals of his other life. "Okay, one more," he exclaimed. Time sped away in bursts of laughter and playful banter. The shadows of the evening grew longer, wrapping around the house like a warm embrace. He felt truly alive, each giggle a little piece of joy he had been missing. But as the time approached for him to leave, Mark's heart ached with what he knew awaited him back at the gala. It would be a sea of familiar faces ready to applaud, but distant as ever. And as Jake climbed into his lap, looking up at him with wide, trusting eyes, the weight of that decision grew heavier. "Mr. Mark?" Jake asked softly, brushing back his own hair, "Will you still come play tomorrow?" Mark paused, feeling the finality of the moment. The allure of the gala, with its glamorous pull, felt further away than ever. "Of course, I'll be back," he promised, squeezing Jake tightly as a feeling of hope bloomed in his chest. As he stepped outside, the night's air felt crisp and harsh compared to the warmth he had just left. He knew now he couldn't bear to slip back into his old life. But that text from the gala was waiting in his pocket, and it nagged at him, an invisible weight whispering his name. What if he could change the narrative tonight? What if he chose to walk away from the gala for something genuine? Could he break free entirely? Mark paused at his car door, pondering the road ahead. Would he rush back to the life he once loved, or take a leap into the unknown? Mark closed his eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of choice crumple in his chest. The hum of the gala echoed with visions of glittering gowns and polished smiles, but now it seemed tainted. The invitation in his pocket felt like a chain, pulling him away from the warmth and joy inside the house. What was a gala compared to the laughter of the triplets? He turned back to the door, hesitating just a heartbeat longer before stepping back inside. Mia caught his gaze, her eyes sparkling with an understanding that thrilled him. The frantic energy of the triplets was still swirling around the room, but now it felt like the backdrop to a grand revelation, his own. He smiled as they pulled him back into their world, where every silly dance move felt like a declaration of freedom. "Let us do a circle," Jake shouted, bouncing on his feet. "We're going to put on a show." The world outside faded as they formed a makeshift circle on the living room floor, laughter filling the air like confetti. One by one, the triplets would step into the center, showcasing wild dances or exaggerated funny faces, and their giggles soon caught Mark in a whirlwind of silliness. With every laugh, the chains of his former life seemed to loosen, bit by bit. 15 minutes slipped by, but it felt like hours of pure joy. Mark was lost in the moment. "Okay, my turn," he exclaimed, surprising even himself with the enthusiasm in his voice. He leaped into the circle, striking a ridiculous pose, arms flailing, goofy face, only to be met with waves of shrieks from the triplets. Their laughter pulled him deeper into their world, yet, even in the midst of their fun, the tiny voice of doubt lingered. What would happen if he chose to stay? What would everyone say at the gala? "Mr. Mark," Lily squealed, tugging at his sleeve. "Can we stay up late and watch a movie? Please." The thought of a night spent curled with the kids, sharing popcorn and laughter, felt like a gust of wind on a sweltering day. "Absolutely," he replied, dancing along with their shouts of glee. They settled into the living room, draped in blankets as Mia flipped through a pile of movies. As the opening credits rolled, he felt his phone buzz again, more texts from the gala. This time, he chose to switch it off, silencing the persistent pull from a world that felt less real, less vibrant than the one he found himself in now. Halfway through the movie, Mark snuck a glance at Mia. She was simply there, watching the kids with a soft smile, her hair catching the dim light. They exchanged a brief look, and a wave of unspoken feelings passed between them. Gratitude, relief, and a hint of something deeper felt palpable, an understanding that this time felt beautifully different. As the film ended and the triplets pretended to snooze, Mark found himself lost in thought. This warmth, this family, it was so far removed from the chatter of the gala, but what would tomorrow bring? Would he have the courage to embrace this new path, to face the skepticism of peers who might not understand? As he tucked the triplets in one by one, whispering good night and feeling their little hands fall softly into slumber, he felt a surge of clarity. Maybe stepping away from the gala wasn't running away, it was stepping into something better, but then a shadow of uncertainty crept in. What would happen when he had to explain his choices? How would Mia and the kids fit into a life full of red carpets and high-profile dinners? Could this newfound joy withstand the harsh glare of reality? Shoving those thoughts aside, Mark crept toward the living room exit, heart pounding with anticipation. He glanced back at the sleeping triplets and Mia, who now looked peaceful, illuminated by the soft glow of the television. He opened the door to the cool night air, feeling sharply aware of the path he was about to choose. Tomorrow was waiting, but the question lingered, could he build a life here, away from the expectations? Or would the call of his old world pull him back into its chaotic fold? As he stepped outside, the uncertainty filled his lungs like cold air. He closed his eyes again, searching for the answer in the gentle rustle of the leaves, and then a fleeting thought pierced through. What if tomorrow wasn't about choosing one life over another, but weaving them together in a way no one expected? Mark stepped outside, greeted by the cool night air that woke him up fully. The stars twinkled above, distant and bright, shining like a promise. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the world's expectations pressing on him, yet he stood firmly with no footsteps behind him. His mind raced with the images of the triplets laughing, their innocent joy wrapping him in warmth. What was it about their laughter that made everything else seem so mundane? He leaned against the door frame, listening to their soft breathing through the window. It sounded like a gentle lullaby, lulling his heart deeper into the moment. "You can do this," he whispered to himself. The words felt foreign, yet they unfurled within him, igniting a flicker of hope. He shoved his hands into his pockets, feeling the familiar weight of the gala invitation once more. Hadn't he spent so many years tethered to decision after decision that only led him to feel more disconnected? Just as he fought to shake the thoughts away, an unexpected sound pulled him from his reverie. A soft rustling in the nearby bushes drew his attention. Startled, he turned, his heart racing. From the shadows emerged a small figure, nothing more than a silhouette against the night. His heartbeat quickened, the unknown feeling heavier than the previous doubts. "Hey! Who's there?" he called out, trying to keep his voice steady. A small girl stepped into the moonlight, her hair tangled and dirty, dressed in a threadbare shirt. Mark felt the sharp edge of surprise, mixed with concern. "Are you okay?" he asked, rushing over. "My name is Sophie," she said, peering up at him with wide, frightened eyes. I saw how happy the people inside were. I thought maybe." Mark knelt down to her level, searching her face for answers. "Maybe what?" He softened his gaze, trying to ease the fear in her eyes. "Maybe I could be happy too," she said, her words spilling out like a half-formed dream. "I just wanted to belong somewhere. Can I stay?" The plea hit him like a gut punch. The warmth he felt inside just moments ago now felt painfully bittersweet. Out of all the moments in his life, this one felt the heaviest. Here was a child, lost and alone, seeking a place to belong just as he had, needing everything he had just discovered among the triplets. Mark took a breath, steadying himself. How could he turn this girl away? "Of course, you can stay," he replied, extending his hand. "But it's going to be a wild adventure. You'll meet some very energetic kids who might just steal your heart." A small smile broke through Sophie's fear, lighting up her face. The spark in her eyes felt strikingly similar to the joy he saw in Mia's and the triplets. Standing up, he pulled Sophie to follow him. As they walked back towards the warmth of the house, an unexpected ripple of excitement surged within him. What if there was a way to create a life that included not just the triplets but others too, creating a haven of laughter and belonging? For a while, I felt like I was balancing between two worlds. But maybe now I can blend them. He thought excitedly. Once inside, laughter erupted again as the triplets caught sight of Sophie. Their curiosity piqued, they tumbled out of their blankets like little storms, enveloping the newcomer in their whirlwind of energy. Mia looked on with a mixture of surprise and delight, her eyes meeting Mark's with renewed warmth. For Mark, it felt like the perfect collision of worlds. A family growing without bounds, filled with love. But just as joy began to take over his heart, doubt crept in again. Would Sophie be able to handle the chaos? Would bringing another child into their fold disrupt what they had built? As he watched the 3 pairs of eyes light up with innocent wonder at this new friend, Mark mused on the possibilities. This might be the adventure he had always been waiting for, though uncertainty loomed above it all. In that moment, with the kids laughing and the warmth of belonging swirling around him, Mark dared to hope. Maybe this wasn't the end of his journey but the exciting beginning of something that intertwined with his past, present, and future. But when he glanced toward the door, shadows danced, hinting at more surprises waiting ahead. What would happen if others soon followed Sophie's footsteps, seeking their piece of happiness and belonging? Mark watched as Sophie timidly joined the ruckus, her laughter gradually blending into the sounds of joy coming from the triplets. Their energy was infectious, the room buzzed with excitement, like a beehive in spring. For that brief moment, all his worries faded. He marveled at the sight: the carefree laughter, the spontaneous embraces, the innocent desire for connection radiating from this unexpected gathering. "You're one of us now!" shouted Liam, the eldest triplet, grabbing Sophie's hand and leading her into an impromptu dance. The others followed, their small bodies swirling and twirling, each movement more carefree than the last. Mark couldn't help but smile, a warmth flooding his heart. It was as if Sophie had unlocked a door to a treasure trove they didn't even know existed. Could this be part of the family he never realized he needed? Mia caught his eye, her expression a blend of surprised delight and something deeper, something unspoken. It was a moment of understanding, they were both on the brink of something transformative. "She's great, isn't she?" Mia whispered, nudging him playfully. "Like she fits right in." Just then, Sophie stumbled, her laughter ringing out like a tiny bell that led the others to her side. "I'm okay," she exclaimed, dusting herself off, her eyes sparkling with mischief. It was a small moment, but it sent ripples through Mark's heart. The way she smiled, the way they all welcomed her, it felt real, but as the laughter continued, a nagging thought drifted back into focus. What if this happiness was fleeting? With each smile exchanged and every giggle shared, a quickening fear crept in. Mark's heart beat a little faster as he considered the possibility of losing this newfound connection to chaos or, worse, the outside world. He felt a gentle nudge at his knee. Turning, he found Mia looking up at him, her wide, innocent eyes brimming with questions. "Do you think she'll stay forever, Daddy?" she asked, her small voice laced with a hint of worry. It struck him then the very thing he struggled with himself. "Forever is a big promise, sweetheart," he replied, his voice softer. "But we can make a home for her like we did for all of us." The hopeful glow in Mia's eyes flickered, and for a second, Mark saw the reflection of his own uncertainty. What if he couldn't be enough? What if he faltered in his commitment to Sophie and the kids? Fear gripped him, but he firmly pushed it aside. They had all fought for this moment, every child, every laugh, each of them had earned their place. The party continued, and as the chaos settled slightly, Mark seized a moment to step outside. Leaning against the cool wall of the house, the starry sky unfolded above him, vast and filled with endless possibilities. The quiet wrapped around him, a moment of solitude amidst the clamor, but just as he began to think about how to protect this fragile newfound happiness, a flicker of movement caught his eye again. The bushes rustled under the moonlight, bigger than before. Panic rushed through him. Was it just a stray animal? Or was it something or someone more? His instincts kicked in, and he felt the weight of his choices pressing down again. What would greet him now? As he stepped closer to investigate, Mark couldn't shake the feeling that tonight wasn't finished. The night shimmered with the promise of yet another surprise, another chance, or perhaps even another child like Sophie, someone else in need of a place to belong. With his heart pounding and hope burning bright, he pulled open the door. "Get ready, everyone," he called back inside, anticipation rising within him. Little did he know, the next chapter was about to unfold. What awaited him beyond the threshold? Mark's breath caught in his throat as he stepped into the darkness. The excitement spilling from the party felt miles away, overshadowed by a thick silence just outside the house. He could hear the soft rustling again, a whisper in the night that both intrigued and frightened him. "Hello," he called, his voice steady even as his heart raced. Silence swallowed his words, but he could feel something was out there, just beyond his sight. Mark squared his shoulders, propelled by a mixture of curiosity and protectiveness. Each cautious step felt like an eternity as he approached the bush. The night air felt heavy, charged with unspoken potential. This was more than just a playful mystery. In a way, it felt like a test, a pivotal moment to safeguard the joy brewing inside the house. Then he saw it, a small figure crouched low, peering out from the foliage. His heart sank. "Hey! Who's there?" Before he could think twice, he reached out, brushing aside the branches to reveal a girl, no older than 8, with wide, frightened eyes staring back at him. Her clothes were tattered, her hair wild and unkempt. For a fleeting moment, he saw himself in her expression, raw, vulnerable. "I'm just looking for my sister," she whispered, her voice tremulous. "I got lost. She's supposed to be here." "Your sister?" Mark echoed, quickly glancing back toward the warmth of his home, where laughter still echoed like a siren call. He knelt down to her level, heart racing in a different way now. "What's your name?" "Alice," she murmured, tears welling up just below her lashes. His heart broke a little more. She was lost, alone in the world like Sophie had been, like so many before. "Alice, I want you to come inside. You'll be safe with us. We're having a party, and I think you and your sister can join." He extended a hand, trying to project warmth and reassurance. She hesitated, shifting her weight. But what if she's not there? Mark felt the crushing weight of her fears. He remembered Mia's question about Sophie, about what it meant to forever belong. "You know, sometimes we find family in the most unexpected places. I can promise you that we make room for those we care about." Alice's lips quivered at his words, caught between hope and doubt. "Really?" He nodded, heart racing again, feeling the depth of this moment drain into something bigger than they both understood. "Let us go find out." As she took his hand hesitantly, a rush of warmth surged through him. He could feel her small fingers wrapped tightly around his own. The connection sparked like a fire in his chest, and he turned, leading her toward the door. The laughter from inside greeted them like an invitation, and as he opened the door, the sight of the party momentarily shattered the weight of worry hanging in the air. The triplets noticed, their eyes widening in surprise, and Liam rushed forward. "Who's that?" he asked excitedly. "This is Alice. She's lost and she's looking for her sister. I thought she could join us." Mia stepped closer, her face lighting up in a way that kindled hope in Mark's heart. "We have room. Right, everyone?" "Yeah." The triplets cheered in unity, surrounding Alice, their laughter soothing the girl's fear. Mark felt a small grin break across his face. Perhaps this was how they expanded their family. He watched, his heart swelling, as laughter erupted once more, wrapping around them like a soft blanket. But just as things began to feel perfect, a distant sound echoed from outside, raised voices, anxiety lacing their tones, snapping the moment's joy. Mark's heart sank as he exchanged a quick glance with Sophie and Mia. They had more than just joy within those walls, they were about to face a storm. "What is going on out there?" Sophie's question hung in the air, heavy with uncertainty. "I don't know," Mark replied, dread pooling in his stomach. But it sounds serious. As they prepared to confront whatever awaited them in the night, Mark's thoughts spiraled. Would this joy survive the chaos that seemed to follow them? The door to their unexpected family was wide open, but with every step forward, they risked losing it all. What awaited them beyond the laughter? The door swung open wider, and the sound of the commotion spilled into the cheerful ambience of the party. Mark felt the weight of Alice's small hand in his, anchoring him, even as the world outside felt like it was closing in. "Stay close," he whispered to her, not wanting to scare her but needing to keep her safe. He stepped out onto the porch, the wooden floorboards creaking under his weight, alerting everyone in the room to follow. Sophie, Mia, and the triplets followed, clinging to each other's arms, forming a tight little circle. Mark squinted against the sudden gust of wind that swept across the yard, carrying with it snippets of strained voices. A confrontation was brewing just beyond the light cast by the party. "Don't open it. I told you she's gone," a woman's voice cried. Mark recognized it. It was Lisa, Alice's mother. His heart sank further as dread seeped into his bones. "Alice!" Another voice shouted, frantic and fierce. A man's silhouette emerged from the shadows, his face twisted with worry. Mark could make out the sheen of his eyes, searching, desperate. "Alice! Where are you?" The sight of the man made Alice freeze, her hand trembling in Mark's grip. She looked up at him, confusion and fear mirrored in her eyes. I don't want to go back," she whispered, shaking her head as tears fell silently down her cheeks. Mark's heart broke for her all over again. Mia stepped forward, sensing the urgency. "We'll help. Someone can go talk to them." Sophie nodded, determination etching across her face. "Mark, why don't you go? You've already got a connection with her. You can talk to them and figure out what is going on." Feeling the weight of that suggestion, he turned back to Alice, crouching down to meet her gaze. "It's okay. Sometimes we have to face what's out there, but we'll do it together. You're not alone." She nodded slightly, swallowing back her fears. With a soft squeeze of her hand, he stood up and led her to the edge of the porch. The voices were now clearer, laced with desperation. "We have to look for her," the man shouted, frustration bubbling in every word. "She could be anywhere. If someone is hiding her." "Mr. Thompson," another voice interrupted. Mark recognized the officer who sometimes patrolled his street. "There's no need for that. She's safe now. We have to approach cautiously." Mark exchanged a glance with Sophie, and she encouraged him with a nod. Taking a breath, he stepped into the yard, guiding Alice right behind him. "Hey!" Mark called out, his voice steady despite the swirling emotions in his chest. The man, Mr. Thompson, froze mid-sentence, eyes wide at the sight of the child he had been searching for. "Alice!" he shouted, relief flooding his features. But just as the joy flickered in his eyes, it faded, replaced by concern. "Where have you been?" "She was lost." "She was looking for you," Mark interjected, trying to keep the moment from spiraling out of control. "We found her outside, scared. We thought she should join us until you came." A tense silence fell. The crowd in the party held its breath as Alice stepped out from behind Mark, her small frame standing resolutely. "I'm okay, Daddy," she said, her voice quivering yet brave. "But I don't want to go home." The emotions twisted around them like ivy. Mark could see the father's struggle, the conflicting desires of relief and worry battling within him. "Alice, honey, we've been looking everywhere for you." Mark felt the pull of Alice's hand as she stepped away from him, her face reflecting her determination. "But I'm with friends now. They let me stay." As her voice rang out, echoing innocence and courage, it struck a chord in everyone's heart. The night's shadows seemed to recede just a little. Maybe Lisa's voice broke through, softer now, as if she were trying to understand. "Maybe we need to talk. But you must promise to come home with us after the party." Alice's eyes darted between her parents and Mark, uncertainty flooding back. "Can we invite them?" Mia piped up, her optimism lifting heavy hearts. "There's plenty of food. And games. Everyone should be together." Mark's breath hitched as he turned to Alice, hope flickering again. Could this mood shift into something better? But the question lingered in the air, would Alice find her place with her family or unfold an unexpected journey with new friends? What would she choose? Alice stood between her parents, her face a mix of innocence and resolve. The tension hung in the air thick enough to cut, but Mia's suggestion sparkled like a ray of sunlight through storm clouds. Can we really have a party together? Alice's eyes lit up at the thought. She looked up at Mark, searching for affirmation. Mark noticed how her small hand, still grasping his, tightened with a flicker of hope. He smiled, encouraging her to voice what she felt. Mr. Thompson scratched his head, clearly caught off guard. I don't know if that's a good idea, Alice. You really should. We can all stay, Lisa interjected, her tone softer, almost coaxing. If it makes you feel safer we can talk about everything here. Mark watched as the uncertainty in Alice's eyes morphed into the tiniest hint of relief. She was surrounded by this new world, filled with simple joys, friends, laughter, and a sense of belonging she hadn't felt much in recent days. Please, can we? I mean, it might help us all, Sophie chimed in, glancing at Mark, her eyes hopeful. Just a little while longer. Okay, Mr. Thompson relented, though his voice wavered as he cast a glance at Lisa, who nodded slowly in agreement. Alice broke into a smile, one that spread warmth, chasing the shadows away. Thank you, she exclaimed, letting go of Mark's hand momentarily to bounce with excitement. It felt like a weight lifting, the barriers between her and her family cracking ever so slightly. With newfound courage, Alice stepped forward. Let's play games. I want to show you how much fun we're having. Mia clapped, pulling the triplets into a tight huddle. Alright, who's ready to play some party games? Laughter erupted from the small group, and the atmosphere transformed. Mark couldn't help but smile at how infectious Alice's joy became. As they moved back toward the porch, Mark felt a sense of unity forming. Lisa and Mr. Thompson stood close, faces softening as they watched their daughter's enthusiasm. The smell of barbecue wafted through the air, mingling with shouts of laughter, drawing in more guests. Cautiously, Mark made eye contact with Sophie. What do you think will happen next? I think they'll see how great it is for Alice to be included, Sophie said, her voice layered with hope. Maybe this will show them they can be a family and still let her be herself. The triplets began laughing as they raced to the yard, dragging a reluctant Mr. Thompson into a game of tag. Lisa hesitated, watching them before pulling Alice into a gentle hug. Mark caught a fleeting glimpse of vulnerability on her face as she brushed back Alice's hair. The memories of their distance flickered like ghosts. Hey, Mark said softly, stepping closer to Lisa. It doesn't have to be about what has happened. It's about how you move forward, right? She nodded, gratitude mixed with uncertainty. Just then, Alice broke free from the hug, her laughter echoing as she pulled Mia towards the backyard. Come on. You have to see the jumping castle. We're going to have so much fun. Mark smiled at the sight, but it was fleeting. A hum of unease settled in his stomach. The night felt fragile, a perfect moment waiting to be shattered. As Alice's laughter faded into the night, he couldn't help but wonder, once the games moved into shadows, would the real talk come forth? Would this glimmer of hope last as the night wore on? The question hung in the air. Could a night filled with laughter cover the cracks in family ties, or would truths collide in the face of fragile joy? What would Alice discover when the echoes of the night extinguished, and daylight approached? The laughter poured out into the night, warm and embracing as Mark watched the kids play. Alice, Mia, and the triplets darted around the yard, their giggles blending together like music. The atmosphere felt electric, a perfect contrast to the heaviness that hung in the air just moments before. Mark couldn't help but smile, feeling the magic of this unplanned gathering wrap around them like a cozy blanket, but as he turned to glance at Lisa and Mr. Thompson, anxiety flickered in his heart. Would they truly embrace this harmony, or would worry crash the party? The night was alive with joy, yet he sensed the fractures beneath the surface. Isn't it beautiful? Lisa said, her eyes glistening as she took in the scene of carefree laughter. Mark nodded, but an inner voice cautioned him. It takes a lot to rebuild, he said gently, aware that Alice's insecurities still lingered. But moments like this are a start. Her gaze softened, gratitude evident in her expression. Thank you for being here for her, she replied. I never wanted it to come to this. Mark felt a pang of empathy. Sometimes life takes unexpected turns. But it's how we respond that defines us. As Mark spoke, he felt the weight of their shared moment pressing in. What if their decisions here determined not just the future for Alice, but also for all the children gathered tonight? In the distance, cheers erupted again. The triplets had persuaded Mr. Thompson to join them in a spontaneous game of catch. The pure joy radiating from them tugged at Mark's heartstrings, igniting a hope he'd thought lost. Suddenly, a shout from Jake broke the moment. Guys, let us be a team. Together. His voice carried through the laughter, filling the night with brightness. Mark's heart swelled as he watched the kids rally together, united in their playful bond. It was more than a game, it was a declaration of belonging. That's it. Teamwork. He cheered, but beneath the cheers, a storm of uncertainty brewed in his chest. What if it all falls apart? Echoed inside his mind, then Alice's voice cut through his reverie. Can we do this every week? She asked, her eyes wide with excitement. Mark looked down at her, his heart aching sweetly. Every week if we can. This is your home too, Alice. Her face lit up at his words, a candle flickering in a dark room. Mark felt hope surge. Maybe they could create something powerful, a family of misfits, shared joy, and battles fought together. As the night unfurled, they all continued to play, smiles contagious and laughter spilling over. A slice of what could be drifted into Mark's mind. But then, the sounds of laughter faded into a sudden stillness as Alice's parents approached her again, hesitance replacing the joy. The air felt charged. Mark stepped up, ready to face whatever came next. Hey, Alice, Lisa said softly. Can we talk for a moment? Alice shifted, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. Mark crouched down beside her. It's okay, he reassured quietly, squeezing her hand. We're all listening. Please, Lisa pressed, glancing nervously at her husband. I just want to understand. Mark nodded, ready for a heart-to-heart that might guide this fragile moment toward hope. Mommy, Daddy, Alice stammered, her voice small but brave, I want to stay here, it feels like home. Mark's breath hitched. Was this the moment they all needed? Words hung heavy in the air. Lisa and Mr. Thompson exchanged worried glances, struggling with their fears. Alice, Mr. Thompson said gently, we love you and want to keep you safe. We just thought you were lost. Tears welled in Alice's eyes. But I'm not lost. I have friends now. This is family. She exclaimed, glancing around at the loving faces surrounding her. Mark felt the heaviness in the air shift at her words. Was it enough? He stood up, stepping closer to Alice's parents, heart pounding. This is a place where she feels safe, loved, and accepted, he declared, looking directly at them. It's a chance to rebuild together for all of you. A moment of silence lingered, then Lisa took a deep breath, vulnerability spilling through her. Maybe we need to let her grow. This happiness, it's real. Mark could see the tightening in her grip loosening, the flicker of a mother's love taking root again. As they stood together, he knew they were at a turning point. Can we give it time? Alice's eyes were hopeful, filled with youthful dreams. Mr. Thompson nodded slowly, his voice barely above a whisper. Let us see how this unfolds. We owe it to you, Alice, to give this a chance. Cheers erupted among the children. Mark let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. He turned to Alice, her hand still tightly clasped in his, and it filled him with a fierce sense of purpose. You see. You're not alone anymore. Mark beamed at the moment unfolding before him, realizing that this was just the beginning. Families could be woven together through love and understanding, and maybe, just maybe, they could build something beautiful. As laughter bubbled back into the air, he took a step back, allowing himself to take it all in. The stars twinkled above, reflecting the joy around him. He understood now that he had found family amid chaos, a collection of misfit hearts intertwined. "All right, everyone," he called out, excitement surging within him. "Who's ready for the best game night ever?" Laughter followed him as he led the way back into the warmth, ready to embrace whatever came next. That night, with the echoes of joy swirling through the air, Mark realized he had truly found his place. This was not just an ending but a resolute, vibrant beginning. Now's your chance to join the adventure. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. The support means everything. Comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us build this community together.